This next question, and by the way, we will be out of here by 8 o'clock. So we are down to our final 2 questions before the closing statement. And this question begins with Congressman Davis. Alabama's campaign finance and ethics laws are some of the most lax in the country. What legislative reforms would you pursue as governor? And in particular, would you put the power of the governor's office behind banning PAC-to-PAC campaign transfers? Congressman.
Yes, I will, and I will do far more. This February, I went to the Women's Network at the Harvard Center and laid out what would be the strongest ethics platform ever even considered in Alabama. I do the following. We need to put limits on campaign contributions. Georgia has limits of $6,000. Federal government has limits of $2,400, as our congressional folks know here tonight. In Alabama, the limit is what's in your bank account. We need to have conflict of interest rules. No legislator should be able to use his or her discretionary money to benefit their employer, their spouse's employer, or their children's employer. That's basic conflict of interest. Third of all, lobbyists shouldn't be able to give gifts to appointed officials or elected officials. We all love going to football games. If you're a politician, buy your own ticket. Coffee has not gone up that much. Buy your own cup. If Washington can live by those rules, Montgomery can live by them. And finally, this is important. If you get indicted for violating a state ethics law or a federal corruption law, it shouldn't be a bad news cycle or a good day to call your lawyer. It ought to be the day you get suspended and pull an administrative leave. Now, it sounds harsh, maybe. Here's the deal. If any one of you were to go to your workplace tomorrow, and God forbid, have someone make an allegation against you, an indictment against you, that you had stolen money or violate your company's trust, you'd know what would happen. You'd be put on administrative leave. Of course, you'd be presumed to innocence. But a presumption of innocence is not a presumption to be an elected official and have your hands in the cookie jar you're accused of stealing from. Why do we need these things? Not just for the fun of getting harsh on politicians, but because we need a stronger set of ethical standards. It's easy to ban PAC-to-PAC transfers, or at least to say you want to do it during the governor's race. All 8 of us say it. And eventually the legislature go around doing it. But here's the real challenge. The real challenge is changing the standard of conduct, stopping the lobbyists in their tracks, changing the way we finance campaigns, and punishing public corruption. Don Siegelman said in 1994, when he made his comeback race, Lieutenant Governor, if you want to change Alabama, you've got to change Alabama politics. It was so true. And the way you change Alabama politics, clean up the way politicians do business.
Commissioner Stark.
You know, ethics is a big word. You know, what ethics means is that you don't raise money before June 6th. What ethics means is that you don't spend money before June 6th. You know, I'm the only candidate in this race, or the only constitutional officer that has run a campaign that says you can't take money from those you regulate. You know, when I'm sitting on the phone dialing for dollars, the lobbyists don't even know my name. Hey, I don't care who it is. As governor, you doggone right. We ought to end PAC-to-PAC transfers. We ought to have transparency. We ought to have campaign reform. And, you know, let me just say this. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not ready to turn over the judicial system to the prosecutors. Let me just tell you, I still believe in a jury by your peers. And I still believe that you're innocent until proven guilty. Look at the corruption that we've had in Alabama. Look at the corruption that we've had across this country because we have turned prosecutors loose. I am not ready to do that. Certainly, anybody that breaks the law ought to go to jail. But I'm not ready to turn the judicial system over to the prosecutors of this country. and I've run under the ethics laws. I can't accept money from those I regulate. You doggone right. You'll see a governor that will stand up and make sure that you know where every dime that you send to Montgomery, you'll know where every dime it goes. Congressman Davis.
Ron, it sounds good to say that, but what you just said is you think politicians ought to be held to a different standard than the people in this room. We know what happens to the people in this room if you're accused of committing a crime. You've said that same standard of administrative leave shouldn't apply to politicians. I'm tired of a world where politicians held to a different standard. And I know the commissioner did mean to suggest of someone when he and I have known each other for 7 years and have enormous respect for each other. I'm certain he did mean to suggest that my campaign had violated the law. He knows me better than that. We got to beat Republicans, folks, not Democrats beat up on Democrats and Democrats figure out how to trick and game and turn this into an SGA race. We got a well-financed, well-organized Republican attack machine that's lying in wait. How dare we create fodder for the Republicans? This isn't about me and Ron Sparks. This is about you and your families and changing the state of Alabama. We ought to be standing as one. Let's not throw slingshots at each other.
Congressman, I got 2 years of college at Northeast University. Surely to goodness you believe in due process. I've had employees at my department. I employ 500 to 600 people at the Department of Agriculture. And I don't know anybody that has got fired because they've been indicted. I believe in due process. I believe in the laws of the land. And I believe that we ought to give you're innocent until proven guilty. And also this too. You know, I could have got out and started running for senator as I was going to do a few months ago. I could have raised a few $100,000 and then decided I wanted to run for governor and transfer it into the campaign. I didn't transfer a dime. I didn't raise a dime. I waited until the law said, this is what you're going to do. I didn't hire any staff. I'm going to live by the laws that Alabama has on the books.
Well, let me get a quick point of rebuttal there, Barry. I'm sure the commissioner doesn't mean to suggest. So I'm sure that it must simply be hot in the room right now. And that's what's causing a little bit of overstatement. I have an enormous amount of respect for Ron Sparks. He's a good man. He's a decent man. He's my second choice for governor. Let's get past the name calling. Let's get past the pot shots. And if we want to clear up the murkiness around Alabama campaign finance law, let's do it. But let's conduct the kind of campaign where we're building up this party and not tearing each other down.